This video is about horrible management, excessive drug use, sexualization of minors and huge pressure from media and fans. This is the dark side of One Direction. First of all, I want to clarify that I'm a Directioner by myself, but in this video I try to be as objective and critical as possible when talking about the dark side of a band which is often suppressed by time and nostalgia. Let's go straight into it. When talking about One Direction, the most known fact about them or boy bands in general is that they were all branded in different ways. And this was obviously not always the way they wanted to be. So far so good. But it goes far beyond Harry being the womanizer.
Yeah, now because you're like what? You're the womanizer, right? You're the guy who likes the ladies?
Zayn being the mysterious guy, Liam the dad who always looked out for the other boys, or Louis the clown who made fun of everything, and Niall the relatable Irish guy, I guess. Yeah, this script writing from the management needs definitely an Academy Award, but no, sadly that wasn't it. The complete control of the management went so far that they couldn't decide which hair they wanted to wear. They couldn't even decide which clothes they wanted to wear, and at least there were huge indications that the dates were controlled too. Zayn stated in an interview in 2015 that he even wasn't allowed to grow his beard. He did it anyways as he got older. Yeah, Zayn, you did everything right. But even Harry admitted he hated his curls in 2011. And yeah, they had different style for everyone and weren't allowed to change it, like if the rest wasn't enough. But it gets worse. Way worse. I think we all know the clips in which Harry is being sexualized and branded as a womanizer. I think we all know they wanted it to look like he lost all the women. And I think we also know that he was a minor when all this happened. Wait. That makes the whole thing even more disgusting than it already is. I mean, nobody should be treated like this, but he was 16 when all this happened, and he was way too young to be treated like that. They tried to sexualize a 16-year-old guy who had no other chance than to play the role because his career was in their hands. Harry wasn't the type of guy. There are many clips of him being uncomfortable when asked such questions. Even Zayn defended him.
He's a nice guy.
You don't get to. No, he has to answer.
No, I know the real you.
And it's not better for the other guys as well. Liam said that he didn't want to be the dad of the group. He didn't want to be the one to keep an eye on everyone, but he needed to be. And Niall was constantly. Louis couldn't show when he was sad because he needed to be the fun guy, and Zayn couldn't show any of his personality because he was the mysterious guy and he couldn't express himself either musical or personally. But this is only the beginning. Overworking is a common thing in boy bands, or the music industry in general, but I think it's hard to imagine how much one day had to give up for their work in the band. I mean, they recorded 2 albums in 1 year, while touring. This is not normal. This is not just ambition. This is nearly impossible. Liam said in a podcast that they were completely overworked, and if he stayed in the band, it would have killed him. They not only were forced to perform when they were sick or injured, but didn't even have time for a break. They had to record whole albums while being on tour, which is alone exhausting enough, and even a van following the bus in which they recorded. They said their day on tour consisted of waking up, checking out the venue, then performing and recording in between all of this, and whatever came in the way, whether it was a bus accident, serious illness or knee injury. They had to keep up going, and even if there was a break, it was only used for PR and advertising. And yet, the boys had to pretend like they were having the best time of their lives, being these teenage guys who had nothing to do except making jokes and have fun together. A good example of this is the film This Is Us. As much as I like it, the more you watch, the more you're gonna notice what false image of 1D was carried to the outside. It seems like there were a lot of free time, they were exploring the world and having no stress at all. And while I wouldn't deny that they did have fun, this is a completely distorted picture of reality. It just shows how hard the management has tried to cover the reality up. When looking at this now, it gets quite clear that the management had probably a quite negative impact on the band. So let's check out the person who symbolized the management, Simon Cowell. Alright, quick stop here. This video took me a long time to make, so I would be very happy if you leave a like and may consider subscribing so you don't miss anything new. Thank you. Simon Cowell, the creator and judge of the X Factor, was more or less important in the formation and success of One Direction. He obviously created the band on his own, However, despite his role in their success, there have been allegations that Cowell mistreated the band during that time under his management. An example of mistreatment was the way in which Cowell most likely favored certain members of the band. In particular, there were reports that Zayn Malik was treated poorly by Cowell. He had since spoken out about his experience, saying that he felt like an outsider within the group and that Cowell would often make negative comments about him. He also aimed at him in the song Believe Me, which was a song from his Starbucks exclusive collection Yellow Tape, in which he said that he's glad he left the label. There were also reports that Cowell had a controlling influence over the band's creative output. One Direction was known for the poppy and upbeat songs, but there were rumors that the band wanted to experiment with different genres and styles, especially Zayn, who wanted a more R&B sound. However, Cowell wanted them to stick to the formula that made them successful. Zayn even claimed he needed to redo some parts over 50 times before they were poppy enough for the management and Cowell. But that's just how he mistreated 1D. Let's talk about Simon Cowell himself. Cowell does not only bully contestants or make fun of them,
it looked like the before, during and after of Weight Watchers,
but treats them in a very dangerous way and makes them ridiculous in front of thousands of spectators. There are multiple cases in where former auditioners said that they struggled years after it with mental health because of Simon Cowell's comments. For example, Samantha Ree. I hope I pronounced that right, but she was literally not blamed for her voice, but for her weight.
You sound nice but look like a shop girl. That's the problem.
Okay,
You don't
that's
like
something could be worked on.
Well, it's a lot of work.
I would do anything for this. I know what you're saying,
What am I saying?
that I'm overweight,
You are.
basically.
You really are.
I'm working on it.
I have no other words than to say this is so ridiculous. Drugs were also a big part of the dark side of 1D, especially for Liam. In a 2019 interview with Men's Health, Payne revealed that he had been drinking heavily and taking drugs during the height of One Direction's success. He described feeling overwhelmed by the intense scrutiny and pressure that came with being a part of a globally famous band and turning to substances as a defending mechanism. Liam's struggles with addictions reportedly came to a head in 2015 when he was sent home from the band's tour in Australia after partying too hard and had failing to show up for a promotional appearance. At the time, Payne's management denied that he has a substance abuse problem, but in retrospective, he has acknowledged that he was struggling with addiction. When being so young, it's hard to deal with these kind of high success and fame. For the five boys, it was much pressure from media and fans. Every decision the band made, from their music to their personal life, was subject to intense scrutiny and criticism. Members of the bands were frequently the subject of rumors and gossip. This pressure took a toll on the band's members. In interviews, they have described feeling overwhelmed and anxious, and have acknowledged that the constant attention and scrutiny was difficult to deal with. They also admitted that this pressure had a negative impact on their relationships, such as Louis and Harry, because of the whole Larry theory, which put much pressure on them. While the band's success was undeniable, they experienced as a reminder of the darker side of fame and the toll that it can take on a person's well-being. The pressure and scrutiny that comes with success can be overwhelming, and fans and the media need to remember that people's behind the glitz and glamour of the music industry are humans being with real emotions and struggles.